they're turned on. And so I'm talking to this mom, and all of a sudden her kids start screaming, "Mom, the power's on, the power's on." And the mom started crying. I started crying. It was just really cool to listen to the effect of people that donate to our program that don't know who they're helping. And I'm actually listening to somebody that received help.
That's incredible. And, just for the folks at home real quick, Susan, we were having a little bit of an audio issue on the front end of this conversation. We are talking to Susan Sams, Executive Director of Energy Assistance Foundation. And we've been talking about Warm Neighbors, Cool Friends. This has been a great program and, a great conversation about this program. We've talked about the fact, Susan, that over 100,000 homes have been helped. And this is just such an incredible milestone. And as our listeners are experiencing those higher supply charges on their electric bill, real quick, just to re-inform our audience, just for the folks that might have missed some of this, Susan, what can Warm Neighbors, Cool Friends help with when it comes to those kind of increases, just to refamiliarize our audience and the folks just that are tuning in?
So if you're moderate income, and as an example, which you have our website up there, warmneighborscoolfriends.org, it'll have our income range as well as all of the agencies that administer our program throughout Ameren, Illinois territory. We cover 44,000 square miles of Ameren, Illinois, and in the heating season, we'll match anything the customer pays up to $500 one-time assistance. So if they've already made a payment but can pay a little bit more, we even have people who borrow the money from a friend or neighbor or relative to be able to get our maximum grant, but we're able to put a $500 pledge on your account, and it really just makes a big impact in the people's bills.
And before we take a quick break and we come back and have more of this conversation, Susan, if it's okay, just to help me a little bit more understand this. So let's say that my, energy bill is racking up. Let's say I didn't get to it last month, or I couldn't, and it's, or it just was astronomical this month, and it's $400 or $500, and, I just don't have that. And all I have is, let's say, $250. Can I still qualify to see if I can get a $250 match?
Sure. And you also can call Cameron's customer service and be set up on a pay agreement. Mm-hmm. So there are options there that not everybody realizes. And then they take what you owe and divide it out into X amount of months that you pay it back. But absolutely, we're able to help with that.
That's incredible. Susan, is it okay we take a quick break?
Absolutely.
We'll come back with more of this great conversation on RiverBender.com. Roku TV, we're talking with all about Warm Neighbors, Cool Friends. Susan Sams is the Executive Director, Energy Assistance Foundation, and just been learning about all of the ways that Ameren's contributed to this through donations, and then ways that we can just help ourselves when the going gets tough, and just hearing all the great work that's been done. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with more Daily Show right after this on RiverBender.com and Roku TV.
Tomorrow isn't built by dreamers. It's built by doers. Because progress doesn't work unless we do. So at Ameren, we've been hard at work putting energy to work for you. Adding underground cables, installing advanced switches and sensors, storm hardening poles and power lines, making the energy grid stronger today so it can meet your needs tomorrow. Learn about projects in your area at Ameren.com/energyfuture.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Then that time I went and said goodbye.
Welcome back. Daily Show on a Thursday, 9:36. We're back with Susan Sams. She is the Executive Director of Energy Assistance Foundation. We're talking Warm Neighbors, Cool Friends. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I'm so excited to have Susan on the show as we've been exploring this topic. And for all of you that have been tuned in and maybe missed part of that, like I said, that audio issue earlier on, I apologize for that. We have that, I think once a year at most this anymore, Susan, and I'm sorry it was your interview. Susan, welcome back to the program, and it's great to have you back. Let's dive right into Warm Neighbors and Cool Friends. And as we were talking earlier, one point that you made that was such a good one was on the other alternative suppliers. And if you could you fill us back in on just a little bit more of what that means?
Sure. They call it ARIES, Alternate Retail Electric Suppliers. And there was a big push in the last couple of years that you didn't have to get your energy supplied by Ameren. You could use any number of companies in Illinois to supposedly get a lower rate. What was happening, what we were seeing, was a lot of people would get a real low rate for the first 3 months. And then when you stop looking at your bill, then the rate would go anywhere. Back when Ameren was 8 cents a kilowatt hour, people were paying 29 cents a kilowatt hour. And that, when you are struggling to pay your bill and then you find out that you're paying way more than you should be or could be, it's just extremely frustrating. If I can tell the story about my brother again, I thought that was pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
So my brother called and said that someone came to his door and told him he could get 7 cents a kilowatt hour for 15 months. And he signed up. And I said, there's just no way that that's possible. And he said, oh, yeah, they promised me that was right. So, well, I want to see your bill because I don't believe it. And sure enough, they were adding a $29 per month administrative cost to his supply charge. So the $29 was more than his electricity that he was actually using. And it probably took him 3 months to get it changed back to Ameren. And he was frustrated, as most people are, that find that out.
Well, and Susan, I wanted to ask you, how many, it doesn't have to be, a number by number answer, but do you ever talk to folks through this program that, are saying, Ameren's rates are just too high, not realizing that maybe Ameren's not their supplier because of an energy aggregation program that's a citywide initiative or a village-wide initiative that they had to opt out of?
Absolutely. And the community leaders that set up those municipal aggregations, they themselves feel like they're making a good deal for the community. And it is not always that way. My children live near me and they all send me the letters and say, what do I do with this opt-out message? What do you do? And I check with people at Ameren and I want to verify that what Ameren's rate is, but it's always on. So I'll say this again. I'm not sure what part of the interview didn't work, but on the third page of your bill, it'll say that everybody's electricity is delivered by Ameren, but your supplier can be a different company. And on the third page, in about the middle, it'll list the company that is your supplier and what you're paying per kilowatt hour. And then down just a little bit, sometimes I think on page 4, it'll say Ameren's rate to compare, and it'll tell you. And if Ameren's rate to compare is less than what you're paying, you just call Ameren's customer service 1-800-755-5000 and say, I don't want to pay this rate that I'm signed up for. But it's amazing how many people aren't aware of what they're actually paying for their electric supply.
1,000%, Susan. And one point I wanted to circle back to, too, before we continue this conversation down the pipeline, is just the difference between what makes Warm Neighbors, Cool Friends just a little bit different than the other utility assistant programs that are out there.
So LIHEAP is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program through the state and federal government, and they help 0 to 200% of the federal poverty level. And then we help 200 to 300% or 80% average median income by county. So as an example, for one in the home, if your 30-day gross household income is between $33.33 and $47.13, then you would qualify for our program. And, people, a lot of the comments I get is, well, if I made that much, I wouldn't need help. But I am here to tell you that people deal with temporary financial crisis of any kind. I had a cancer patient who was driving to Oklahoma from Illinois for her treatments, and her gas and her hotel, all of that was just unbelievable. So you really can't say what it is that, with insurance and co-pays and premiums, and it's usually just one temporary financial crisis that can really set a family back, or a couple.
And Susan, this is why, and we were talking about this on the front side of this, and I just love the program so much because this, to me, is so many of our neighbors, and I think that's why the name is perfect, quite honestly, because there's so many times, whether it's family members of mine or neighbors or friends or people that we just know that are just right out of the qualifiers for, a statewide program. And I think that it's so great that this is the alternative too.
Yeah, I've got a quick story about a gentleman in your area. His wife was in Barnes and he'd been in the hospital. He was an older guy and he owed $133 on his bill. And somebody from Ameren's customer service called me and said, this guy says, no, he doesn't want help. None. He's going to figure out a way, whatever. He says, here's his phone number. So I call him. His name's Gerald. And I talked and he said, my father was a Baptist minister. And if he knew I accepted a donation from anybody, he'd roll over in his grave. And I said, Gerald, our program is designed for people like you that have a problem and we can help you solve it. And the only way he would accept help for the $133 is if he mailed us a check for $20 a month. And he did that. And then he said, I tell all my friends, there's no way you don't have $5 a month to donate to this great program. So he went from being able to get assistance, paying us back, and then donating $5 a month to the program. So, and I, again,
that's
maybe
incredible.
repeating myself, but warmneighborscoolfriends.org, you can donate there. You can find your local agency. You can see our income ranges based on your family size. It's just a wealth of knowledge. And I see on your screen, energy efficiency is also a very, very valuable part of this. If you can make your home more efficient, of course, your bills are going to be lower for the life of your home as long as you live there. And Ameren Illinois Savings.com is a great place to find out the energy efficiency programs that are available, or there's a link on our website.
Absolutely. And, a couple of more questions for you, Susan. If someone's received help during the summer, can they not qualify for assistance in the winter?
Yeah, this past summer, we did not have enough funding to offer summer cooling. Our cooling program has always been for seniors, those with a disability, and those with a medical necessity for air conditioning. But we hope to be able to get enough money in to be able to help summer again next summer. But yes, you're able to get help once in the cooling season and once in the heating season.
And, going into a little bit of the nuts and bolts of this is the income guidelines for eligibility. How can someone find out if they qualify? And is there a good starting point we can give them?
Yeah, the website is the best place that you can start. It will give you the income ranges based on your family size, and it is just a wealth of knowledge. You can call 888-690-5700 and talk to me, and I can direct you to if you don't have access to the internet. And there you go. Look at you.
I'm going today, Susan.
So we cover all the blue. We cover 44,000 square miles of Ameren, Illinois. We have agencies throughout. And I said, the agencies that administer our program, their whole goal in life is to make their community a better place. So there's your income range based on family size. And a little blurry for me, but maybe hopefully people.
And then, too, real quick, Susan, just to get the folks started, if you're a family of one, that income range for Warm Neighbors Cool Friends starts at $3,333 up to $4,700. Is that per month, Susan?
Correct. That's your total gross household income.
Okay. And then for a family of two, that rises from $4,358 to $5,383. And just some great valuable information there just to give them a starting point on where that is. And for a family of three, $5,383 to $6,663. And you can learn more by going to that website, warmneighborscoolfriends.org/apply. Susan,
correct.
Before I let you go, what's your favorite component of this program?
It has to be being able to be a blessing to so many people that didn't know the program was available and have never needed help, have never received help. And just it can be, for a lot of people, just a little bit of help that they need to keep going.
Absolutely. And We talked about this earlier. We spoke about it a few times. The funds can come from donations. We can donate today by, again, going to warmneighborscoolfriends.org. But also, where do some of the other funds come from? I know you mentioned Ameren earlier.
Ameren has a charitable trust that pays once a year. They give us a grant from their charitable trust, and that covers all administrative costs. So this time of year, we're one of the few, see, someone's calling for energy assistance right now. We are one of the few not-for-profits that can say that 100% of your donation go directly to those in need.
This is just incredible. And one more time, to get involved or to donate, warmneighborscoolfriends.org. Correct, Susan?
Yes, you could call Ameren and ask them to add a monthly donation, even $1 a month. You know, at 1.2 million electric customers, if everybody gave $1, you know what the fly said?
What's that?
Well, the fly said, when he pees in the ocean, every little bit helps.
and you're absolutely right. And we hope that we can get some individuals today to help donate to that program. That's a great thing to do. And you never know who it can help. And Susan, what's the phone number again if someone prefers to call?
888-690-5700. And you can, our website has the address if you want to mail in an old-fashioned check and just do a one-time donation. We'll take anything big or small.
Absolutely. Susan Sams, the Executive Director of the Energy Assistance Foundation. Susan, thank you so much for your time and just a pleasure talking with you. I hope to do it again soon.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. We'll take a quick break. Daily Show on a Thursday comes back to us next right after this in the heart of the 618.